What's up, guys? Toast again from Fishyaker. Welcome back. Let's talk about a lure that you probably have in your tackle box or one similar to it that you never thought about using in the dead of winter, but they'll definitely catch fish, and it's a lipless crankbait. So guys, as we all know, during the winter, especially in colder parts of the country, the fish love to go deep. They're looking for thermoclines. They're going to school up. And for the bass, smallmouth, largemouth, spots, whatever you happen to have in your area, a lot of them, if it gets really cold, they're just going to be hunkered down on the very bottom, not moving much. So most of us have a lipless crankbait in our tackle box. We use them a lot during the summertime, but have you ever thought about using them during the winter? What's become really popular over the last couple of years have been blade baits. It's an old school lure that we've been using for decades. It's essentially a stamped piece of metal with some lead on it. Some are fancier than others. Like this here, the Guppy blade bait from Fish Lab. If you saw a recent video that I did with my buddy Nick, we were fishing one of our lakes here in Pennsylvania. The fish were all between 20 and 30 feet down, hunkered down on the bottom, and you could see them kind of stratified. You could see essentially the perch up above, below them were the crappie, and the bass were hanging way down to the bottom. Depending on what size lure you were throwing and how deep you were getting, depending on the type of fish you were going to boat. But just as those blade baits work, did you think you could throw a lipless crankbait and essentially do the same thing? Well, these are the Thunderhawk Sergeant lipless crankbaits. You've seen me talk about them before. These are amazing. They come in the 3/4 ounce and the 1/2 ounce. They're lipless crankbaits similar to some of your other brands that you see. A lot of the companies have them, but these are very unique. They have a really interesting presentation for it. I'm going to go ahead and open up the 1/2 ounce one here. They're very similar lures, but the 1/2 ounce with the Thunderhawk Sergeant is a silent running lure, whereas the 3/4 ounce has rattles in it. So it's essentially pretty much the same lure, except one, the weight there is in those rattles inside of it. What I do a lot during the winter, and I'll show you some video here, and I've done it quite a bit during the winters before. Just like you're throwing those blade baits, you can throw these, especially if you're looking for a larger profile. Here's the one that I was throwing just this past weekend. This is a black gold. All you hear there are the hooks rattling against the body. This is silent. There's no ball bearings in it, so it's a little bit lighter than the other one. You got split rings all the way around, and a cool couple of things, the concepts with these, the Sergeants. Number one, these hooks are on pivots. They're essentially a swivel inside the body. So if a fish hooks onto these, if they turn at a hard angle to the lure, that hook's going to spin and turn with them, as opposed to staying at that same angle and the fish breaking free. And that's on the front and the rear. So these are really cool. This is the design concept of that. And these were up for Best of Show at ICAST in 2021 too. Again, I'm using that kind of copperish, goldish looking color to it. The lake that we were fishing has a lot of yellow perch in it, so these really mimicked some of the smaller fish. There were a lot of small, undersized yellow perch. So this really worked on the bass. But I caught crappie on them too. The other cool concept, other than having the swivel, and again, I'll hold the hook here. I can just spin it all day long. Other than the swivels here where the hooks attach, these are a weight-forward lure. So when you're fishing these, what I was doing was casting them out and jigging them. Yep, I was fishing these a lot like you would a Ned rig, for real. The nose is going to dive down first, and they're essentially going to almost work like a Ned rig. Yeah, you're going to hook them up on the bottom on logs and stumps and rocks. You're going to snag some of these and probably lose them. Luckily, this is the same exact one I caught all those fish on last weekend. I still got it right here in front of me, and it's still in really good condition. Looks like I haven't even used it. Although I caught a number of fish on it, including some decent-sized bass, too. So it can snag up, but I didn't, luckily. So you're simply going to cast it out and kind of drag it across the bottom or jig it. Again, it's very similar to what they're telling you to do now with the blade baits. Although we've been doing it for years, but now all of a sudden blade baits are getting popular again, I guess. But you can do the same thing on this. It does have a slightly slower fall rate than those blade baits do, but it's got a larger profile. So if you've gotten the conditions like we were in, where you have to get through the smaller fish, the perch, the crappie, and get down to the bass, this really did work. So you cast it out and just slow drag it across the bottom or jig it, and because of that Sergeant's weight forward presentation, it's almost like a Ned rig. It definitely worked. So if you have some lipless crankbaits in your tackle box, try them, especially in that deeper water. Just go really slow. If you think you're going slow, go even slower. Let it get all the way down to the bottom. Use your electronics to find the fish too if you can. And then you can either slow drag it, jig it towards you. You can even vertical jig it. But they'll definitely catch fish. And this one here, again, this is a 1/2 ounce Thunderhawk Sergeant. This is when I caught all those fish on, but you can also go with a rattle version. But again, I was catching a ton of fish on blade bait, so I figured this would do the same similar presentation. So I went with this, and it worked all day long. It's an awesome lure. So definitely go online, check out the Sergeant Lipless Crankbait from Thunderhawk. But if you have other ones in your tackle box that are lipless, throw them out there and see what happens. Good chance you'll find some fish. Just remember, they're hunkered down on the bottom. They're cold. They don't want to move. And you just got to go slow. But definitely check that lure out if you don't have one. But if you don't and you're looking for something like that, look for a metallic finished lipless crank. And you'll probably find a fish. All right, guys, if you haven't yet, be sure to subscribe to Fishyaker YouTube channel. Give us that thumbs up. Share the video on all your social media outlets. And we'll catch you on the water.
Fishyaker.com, the original kayak rigging video series.
Thunderhawk Sergeant Lipless Crank Silent. You nice. Woo!
Ain't this lake spoils you?
Yeah, that's a decent crappie too.
Yeah, yeah.
Eater. That's an eater.